The fact that they can come up to 170 is pretty uncommon. A deal isn't dead yet. To me, that's a little bit not cool. She just doesn't want to hear anything about this company. She then said in that same email, can we have a phone call to negotiate? Happy Tuesday and welcome back to yet again another week in a life where I show you what I do every single day as a recruiter in the technology industry. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston. I've been working for myself for the past 7 years at my own agency, and the whole purpose of this video is to transparently show what we recruiters do every day. Showcase the wins, showcase the losses, and take you through all the wild and real situations that we have to deal with our candidate clients every single week. Coming into this week, it is the second to last week here in June. After that, there's only 2 more months left of summer, which is mind-boggling as it's going super fast, but grateful to say that business is doing really well. We're experiencing great momentum and we're attacking new positions this week for really awesome, fast growth companies. And if you are as excited as I am to finish June on a really good note, to hit all your goals in July and August, feel free to like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot. Helps us get the word of recruiting out there to more people, but most importantly, it gives us the energy, focus, and fortitude needed to do the best that we can, because we all know recruiting can be a tough job and it all is about energy, consistency, and focus. But with that said, I have about 8 candidate interviews today. We have 4 interviews. 2 of them have already happened, have not received any feedback yet, hoping that goes well. And if you've seen last week's video, you would know coming to this week, we potentially have a couple different candidates in an offer stage or even a negotiation stage. And so I just have to hold my breath and pray that everything will go well, but you never know. Everything and anything can happen here in recruiting. And then aside from that, we're just gonna do whatever we can to make this an awesome short week. Now, because it's a short week, I like to do the best that I can every single week, but a short week, the double-edged sword, because you require to do the same amount of work on 5 days in 4 days. So it really requires you to be just on top of your time management and efficiency and just making sure that you can work hard, you can work faster, and you can get through all of your goals. And don't wait and don't procrastinate to next week. Whatever you want to accomplish this week, let's make it happen together. So busy week ahead of us, talking to a lot of great candidates, and we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. So to kick off this week, we have a engineering candidate. Last I spoke with him, he was going back and forth with the HR, the internal recruiters, and the founders. And if you've been watching and you saw last week's video, you would know, as a very quick summary, everything is looking okay. He had a lot of concerns. We're slowly attacking every single one at a time. But the biggest obstacle would be, honestly, his wife, his family, right? Who also has just as important to say, because she is concerned about him leaving his cushy job, joining a very fast growth startup. They also have 2 kids in school. So from a parental point of view, I totally understand, even though I'm not a parent, but I can understand and I can empathize. This decision is something that they don't want to take lightly, but I'm doing whatever I can to get my candidate excited so that if he does make the decision, it feels like it's a step forward in his direction across the board. And I think fundamentally, that is the most important thing about this. I think if you're working and you're a seasoned or you're an experienced professional working at, let's say, an established company, think a big tech, established tech, even banks, and then you want to join an early stage company, there has to be usually some compromises. A lot of times, early stage companies won't be able to really provide as competitive of a salary in terms of a cash standpoint as you would probably already enjoy now, but they like to back it up with equity because they know that, if you're kind of having faith and you're making a decision to join a fast growth company, that you would know that if the company does well, that they want the founders and the company want to be able to celebrate with you in terms of making that decision. Now, the best case scenario and what's happening here is that you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. My candidate is working at a cushy job, but by him considering a position with my client as a fast-growing startup with only about 50 people, he feels like it doesn't have to make that many compromises. If anything, he doesn't have to make any compromises, and that's really my job, to minimize that number and to make sure that he feels like it's the right decision through and through and through. he can still do a step forward in salary. He'll still have equity. The benefits, not as good, but I know the company is finding a workaround and working actively next year to improve everything, so the gap will be much smaller. He'll be able to work on something that he's even more excited about. His heart's in it, he's passionate about it. So through and through, from like a lot of different small things to big things, it seems like the opportunity that my client provides, it could be a good fit for my candidate. I think that is huge. We'll see. I still have to hear back from him. Our director of marketing is still on kind of a holding pattern. I know they're talking to one more candidate we sent them about an hour ago. Still need to get feedback to see how well that went, but really trying to push my hiring manager to see what we can do with my candidate, because he does have a competing offer, and for the longest time my client ranked number 2, but now my client ranks number 1, and so this is the perfect time for my client to really capitalize on that, be competitive, come out with a strong offer, put your best foot forward, and just get the job done. But I haven't heard back from my client. We'll see what happens. I also heard back from one of my e-commerce clients. We are helping them with a paid social, paid search specialist, and we sent them about 3 people. One of them did really, really well. I think I last heard from the CEO late last week that they're considering her with I think 2 other people, and that even though they might be excited about maybe one other candidate, that candidate hasn't even started a process yet, and they don't want to waste time to kind of take that candidate through the entire interview stage, which puts my candidate at a significant advantage. So I think the client got back to me and asked me like, hey, if things are looking good, there's a good chance you might extend on Monday or Tuesday. Now Monday was a holiday, so today's Tuesday. They said that they're in direct communication with the candidate. I'm actually going to speak with her in about 40 minutes from now, just so I can do a good process call, make sure everything's okay. And yeah, that could be like a really, really awesome deal, and we'll see what happens. Another thing though is that because of this deal, my client reached out to me and said, hey Preston, because of the uncertainty of the market, we are hoping that if we do move forward with your candidate, that you would be open to much of a lower fee. So right now our fee percentage is 18. They want to negotiate to 15, which is something that we don't really do. But a backstory here is that this is with the founder that's tried to use every single reason an opportunity, an event to negotiate my percentage down. And it's a little bit it rubs me off the wrong way, because like that's the whole point why we do an engagement letter. So we get all of this, payment and percentage out of the way, so I can focus on doing what I do best in finding the best talent and getting them through. It got to a point where he's like, you know what? Like if you're not able to negotiate, then we might have to move forward with the other candidates. And to me, I think that's unfair, because I think we only care about finding the best talent for our clients. We do whatever we can, use whatever means, whatever channels, whatever relationships to find the best talent. And for them to now almost kind of like do a threat and saying, hey, if you don't lower your discount, we're gonna talk to other candidates who might not be as good as your candidate because we don't wanna pay you. To me, that's a little bit not cool. I mean, the whole point again for a contract is that you can respect it. There are times when even after a contract has been executed, then I can still negotiate directly with the founder if they're like really asking me or making an exception, or something, maybe an anomaly happened and they're like, hey, just one time, a one-off situation, can you do X? Now with this founder, it's not a one-off situation. It's something that's been happening for years and years and years. For some people, that could be grounds enough to walk away and be like, I don't want to have to do anything else with this relationship. But for me, I like this company, I like the founder, and every time like this situation happens, I always push back and I communicate and argue. I'm like, whether it's 15, 18, or 20, I do my best. Period. And I just need to make sure that like the people we work with are compensated and incentivized properly so that we can continue to provide you the best support regardless of market uncertainty. If you're really worried about market uncertainty, maybe like don't engage us right now and try to like nickel and dime us. You can wait a little bit, give us positions that make sense, and for you to be able to be okay with at least 18%, and then work with us. Like there's no point in be like, hey, can you work with us and can you do like 15, 10, 5%? Like that is not the best use of everyone's time. Again, this has happened just loads and loads of times. So I think cumulatively over time, it's just got to a point where I just have to really address this each time. And I'm like, hey, I hope you understand, but you've done this before. We have an engaged agreement. You know the results that I can bring time and time again. Just as you're uncertain, I'm also uncertain about the market conditions too. But despite that, I need to do the best that I can for you. And I hope you can judge me by the candidates I bring you, and you don't leapfrog them and you don't ignore them because of our percentage. For clients that do that, I think it's not the best practice because I take pride in the candidates that I provide my clients. And that's something that I dealt with. I push back on it. Another tip is that, if clients have done this to you or they're doing it to you, it's a lot more agreeable for us. And this is also kind of like what I talk about negotiations in general. A company will be more open to negotiate if they know it's going to tip the needle. So in this case, I'd be more open to one-off lower the percentage if it means they're going to still be hiring a lot more, and maybe they'll all want to open up a couple of positions for us, so it makes sense. The thing with contingency is even if you have 3 or 5 open positions at a company, it doesn't mean you'll close all of them. And there's a chance you might close none of them. For us, every position matters, and we want to do the best for every position that we have. And I know that if you're listening to this, you'd be, well, why not do retainer or exclusive or a contingent or a hybrid retainment? Or I get it. And that's what we do with some clients, but for this one particularly, they only want to engage us on contingent. I also know that they're also utilizing competing recruiters. So it's not the easy situation. You just have to be on and bring your best game. And I don't want something like this to distract or take away from the hard work that we're doing. So either way, I'm not too worried about it, but I think it gives you context that, I deal with difficult clients all the time as well. It comes with the business. It's all about communicating and managing expectations and doing that properly over and over again until you feel like they genuinely hear you. But either way, it's still a good day. Got 2 more calls today, got 2 more interviews today, and let's just keep on trucking forward. One thing that doesn't really get talked about a lot is just the fact that you have to do a lot of work. If you want to find success in recruiting, you want to find success in your business, you want to find a success in your job, you just have to back it up with work and execution. Nothing else matters. In recruiting, you can go on and on and on about different processes, systems, tools, software, optimization, automation. All of that helps, and all of that will help you work more efficiently, assuming that you put in the work. In recruiting, at the end of the day, whether you focus only on biz dev or candidates or entire desks, you know exactly what you have to do. The thing about recruiting is that you have complete control of your destiny, complete control of how fast you can hit your goals, let alone surpass it. Your business will only go as slow or fast as the effort that you put into it, period. That's it. It's as simple as that. So if you're struggling or you're getting results, but you're not getting results in a very predictable way that you want to, or it's not consistent enough, or you want to do offers that are faster. It's simple as if you're focused on cold calling and your target is how many clients to onboard, how many calls or how many emails, how many in-mails, or how many texts are you doing per hour? Can you do more? Be seriously, brutally honest with yourself. If you're sourcing candidates, you are struggling to get enough responses. Ask yourself how many, again, in-mails and calls and texts and emails are you redoing per hour, and can you do more? And can you do more not by 1 or 2, but can you do more in magnitudes? Can you do 5 more? Can you do 10 more? Can you do 20 more? Can you do that consistently? Not just today you feel inspiration to work hard and tomorrow you're just back at a level you feel tired. Can you do that consistently? I think if you're watching this right now, I want to challenge you, especially at a time when it's really hard to focus on your work wholeheartedly because it's summer. This is the time when people spend time on vacation. They kind of, ease up on the gas a little bit. For times like that, can you, and I challenge you, despite all of that happening, put your blinders on, stay laser focused, and work harder than you normally would in summertime. And I think if you can do that, not only will you get to your results faster, surprise, surprise, but you will also start to create fantastic momentum that'll carry out not only through the summer, but into the fall, where in recruiting, it's one of the most busiest times where companies would ramp up from September all the way through the new year, setting yourself up to have a great second year. There are so many times when I would do so many calls and my ears would ring, or I would do so many sourcing, outreach, or emails, and I would get a cramp in my fingers almost on a weekly, monthly basis. But somehow in a crazy way, I embrace that, knowing that if I can just push and try to maybe establish my own PR with the amount of candidates I reach out to, the amount of clients I reach out to, and I can just be consistent and not just establish a PR, personal record for that day, maybe a personal record for the week, personal record for a month. Do a little game. Can you do a PR in the next 3 months, and every single month you do more and more and more, and be consistent with it? I promise you're gonna start seeing amazing, amazing results. I think where people start faltering and struggling is, you know what to do, but are you doing it the best of your abilities? Or are you just kind of going with the flow, just being average? Or maybe you have fears of cold calling and getting rejected that are preventing you from going full force or full speed. So whatever it is, just focus on doing the work. Rejections are natural with this job. Over time, you will learn to handle them better, to develop tough skin. If you can just somehow reframe the work, and knowing that like the slower you go, the slower you'll hit your goals, but the faster you go, the faster you hit your goals. It's as simple as that, and no need to look for shortcuts or answers like software, plugins, automation, optimization to help you do your work better. If you could just do the work consistently and just try to up it little by little, and just try to up it with intensity and frequency and a sense of urgency, all those things together will be an amazing combination for you to just be nonstop and just absolutely crush your goals and get back into a good rhythm and speed that will help your job, help your career, and help your business continue to move forward. I know as a company, they're super selective. So just the fact that, things sound and look like they're going really well, like that's awesome. And that's obviously a testament to you and your abilities. So great job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a really smooth interview process, which I really liked.
How are things going? Where did you leave things last with them?
He offered me the role.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty far along in an interview process with another company, so I just wanted to, make the right decision at the end of the day. It was 75 with a 3K signing bonus.
Well, do you think if they're able to come up higher, like you'd be able to make a decision sooner?
There could be a possibility of that, of me wanting to make a decision a little bit sooner.
Well, I just had a really interesting process call with my paid social or digital marketing specialist candidate. It seemed like everything's going well. The company did tell me that they extended an offer to her yesterday and that they don't really need my help, and they expect her to say yes. Now, I just did a process call because I always do it regardless of what the company says, because it's just as important for me to have a relationship with my candidates as they do with the client. And through that, I discovered that not only does she have a competing process, that she isn't quick to accept the offer. And when that happens, there's usually a sign or a handful of things that are stopping the candidate to feel comfortable enough to accept. And then when that happens, you just have to dig. You have to peel out the layers and try to find what exactly are they concerned about, what are the red flags, and really painting to my candidate that I'm here to now help her get through the offer stage and address all the questions and concerns that she may have, so that if she does make a decision, it's one that she is in a good headspace to do so, and she just feels really great about it. The worst thing is to be completely hands-off right now and having the candidate to go through the decision-making process alone with a competing offer. There is a chance that this company might come out with a higher offer, and then she might just walk away from your client. And when I talked about salary, my client came out with 75. She initially sounded happy about it, but when I pressed her more about it, she's like, you know what, I might want to negotiate, which means money is important for my candidate, which also means if I was hands-off and the competing offer came higher than my client's offer, and I had nothing to do with that process, she might shut down my client and go with this other competing offer. But because I'm coming in, developing a relationship, managing expectations, moving forward, uncovering things that might be an obstacle for her. So I discovered money is one thing, benefits is another thing, making sure she has ample time to just process the offer. All of these things are important for her to hear from my client, that they'd be more than willing to be accommodating or stretch or have a little wiggle room here. So I'm really, really happy I was able to sync up with her. And again, this just goes to show that it's super important to be hands-on with your candidates, not in an aggressive, pushy way, but just more of hey, I'm a friend, I'm an ear that you can just talk about, and try to give them good space to just be open with you, because you want the best for them. And I told all my candidates, look, I would want nothing more for you to join my client, but if for any reason there's a deal breaker or you find another job that makes the most sense, it makes sense if you'd go with them, right? But as long as you're in process with my client, as long as I still believe that you're genuinely interested and excited for my client, I want to do whatever I can to get you the best package that you can get, so that if you make a decision, it's good for you, it's good for your career, short-term and long-term from now. So now I definitely encouraged her to email the client ASAP to schedule time to chat later tonight or tomorrow. I'm also going to just provide some of my notes with my client and helping to kind of navigate this, so make sure we're all on the same page. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep it going. Happy Wednesday afternoon. A couple updates here. So I had a candidate who is interviewing with our e-commerce client for a paid social kind of digital marketing specialist. I think everything's going well. They extended an offer, and then it seemed like they were gonna wait till end of the week. It seemed like after the last time that they spoke, they kind of gave my candidate a 48-hour turnaround to kind of give her a decision. And then after I synced up with her yesterday, she was like, hey, I think I really need till end of week to decide. I have another offer. And typically every time I hear a candidate say I need more time, that's not necessarily a good thing. Like, what is an obstacle that they're thinking about, or do they have any questions? Do they have any concerns? And it's our job to figure that out. And the thing is, I think because my candidate is also really green, meaning like she's pretty junior, pretty inexperienced with interviewing. And overall, I think this whole experience kind of took her by surprise. We reached out to her. Our outreach was intriguing enough. So we spoke, we submitted her, and the whole interview process went smooth and fast. I think a part of her is just honestly shocked that she has an offer right now with a company she's excited about. She has another offer, so I think that's a part of the reason why she wants more time. But then at this point, like, it's really, really important to dig in. So I started asking a lot of questions, and we just started discovering that she had additional questions about benefits, and she wanted more time, and she wanted to see if, we can maybe possibly get her to negotiate the salary. And I think that's fantastic. I think everyone should negotiate if they want to. You have every right to do so. And so I basically coached her one-on-one on how exactly to go through a negotiation process step by step. And then, so I encouraged her to kind of email my client and ask them to kind of set up a time where she can kind of negotiate, ask questions, because the ultimate purpose of this is to make sure that they sync up, and so that she can really address any questions that she have to help her make a decision. It seems like if I didn't interject, or if I didn't do my regular process call and I just kind of left things hands off, my candidate would have proceeded to making a decision with all of these other questions and concerns. If salary is really, really important, she got a higher salary competing offer, she would just immediately reject my client's offer. So it's really important that as recruiters, we have really strong relationships with candidates, and we really give them an open and safe space to kind of share their honest feelings and let them know that our job is to fight for them, and then to really maximize all of the terms on the offer, in addition to help them just answer any questions that they have. And so it became clear that she had a lot in her mind. I think she was part frazzled by the speed, a lot of questions, wants to negotiate, wants more time. She has a competing offer. It's funny because if I didn't do this call and I heard back from my client's like, you know what, we gave her an offer, everything looks fine. We have really strong belief that she could accept. And there's still a chance that she can accept. She did say that my client ranks number one in terms of overall interest, but then she kept saying, I wish I had more time, and I kept asking her why, and she's like, I'm not really sure. So I think another part is she doesn't really know what she wants, and I think she's overwhelmed and surprised, and she just needs a couple of days to kind of process and think about it. But when I told her to reach back out to my client and schedule another call and really negotiate, first of all, she needs to be crystal clear on exactly what she's looking for, do research, back it up, be empathetic, be positive, and let them know that, if they're able to stretch or have a wiggle room, that she can make a decision, or it will help her make a decision much faster. Any company would be more incentivized to stretch for you if they know it's going to tip the needle, right, in their favor. I heard from her this morning, like, I texted her like how'd it go, and she's like, we had a really good conversation. We did not have a discussion about negotiation. I did not have any opportunity to bring that up, and I'm just going to wait till end of the week to make a decision. I'm like, whoa. You were supposed to negotiate yesterday. And a company's not going to be like, hey, candidate, do you want to negotiate? What are your terms? If a company had it their way, they would not want to negotiate with the candidate. Typically, they'd hope that their first offer terms would be accepted. And so, like, if you want to negotiate, you have to be proactive, and you have to clearly ask for it, and you have to know clearly what you want. And so by her not having an opportunity to negotiate, it just, I think, goes to her lack of experience when it comes to interviewing and negotiating. I get that. But then she said, it's okay, I want to fast forward. I told them I'm going to give them a decision by Thursday or Friday, which they're okay with. I'm like, well, what about negotiating? Like, don't you want to negotiate? Like, you don't want to make a decision and not try negotiating, because I discovered, and per our conversation, negotiation salary is actually quite important for you. And if they're able to come up on a higher salary, you told me that it could potentially sway your opinion. So why would you not want to negotiate? She's like, oh, you know what? I think you're right. So I'm like, okay, I think you should email the company, schedule another time to chat, and see if you can clearly negotiate before giving your final decision. Like the whole point is to do these to help you make a final decision by Thursday or Friday. So I think it's like a lot of it has to do with, I think, her inexperience when it comes to the interview and negotiating, and me being patient and just trying to walk her through every step of the way. And then I told the company like, hey, it still seems like salary and comp might be top of mind. I try to play hypotheticals when I can, like, hey, what happens if you get a higher offer? Would that immediately disqualify my current, my client? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, that's good news. But then I'm like, well, what do you want? She's like, she wouldn't really give me an answer. And then I'm like, the offer came out at 75. Like, how would you feel about 80, 85? So it seemed like if the company can hit 80 or higher, that would sway her decision. And so I'm just going off her word. So I basically went back to the company like, hey, she should have renegotiated with you yesterday. I reconfirmed that salary is still really top of mind for her. There is a chance she will respond or reach out back to you to kind of have a discussion about salary. And if not, I encourage you guys to reach out to her and talk about this, because it's clearly an important thing. And I think if this is something that can be tweaked, like better to tweak it and see if we can tweak it before she makes a final decision. This is the job of recruiters, to be with candidates every step of the way. And sometimes if you work with more junior candidates, it takes a little bit more hand holding and more patience and just helping them through every step of the way, making sure that, they understand everything, they're not too overwhelmed and all that good stuff. But it's still alive, doing my best to keep it alive, and we'll keep on going. Our director of marketing for our aviation tech company that initially my client really liked is kind of in a holding pattern. I sent him one more and he ended up being someone that's equally as strong, and they kind of want to see it through first. Now, a couple things. I sent my second candidate almost around the same time as I submitted my first candidate. So it's not like I sent my first candidate and then I'm like, oh my God, they can be higher, and then I send another candidate. Like, that would make no sense, right? You want to make sure that if the company really likes the candidate, don't want to distract them with other candidates. Let's see if we can end the process here. But then what I discovered from my first candidate is that he did 3 rounds. 2 out of 3 was resoundingly positive. The last one was a maybe. And so because of that, the hiring manager's like, you know what, maybe let's just kind of go through this second candidate, because I had a great chat. And then I think his second interview today happened earlier, and I think he did really, really well. And then we're just trying to scramble and get the third one. I think it's gonna be on Friday. But the issue is, if that third interview is gonna be on Friday, I still have to keep my first candidate engaged and warm. If you remember from the last video, he was also interviewing with another competing offer. In the beginning, he ranked my client number 2. After a couple rounds with my client, he then ranked my client number 1. But now, as more time goes on, he could talk to other companies. The initial company can give him a bigger offer, a better offer. So it's really important to keep him warm and engaged, and that becomes tricky. And so it requires regular check-ins, and that's something that I'm going to do. Aside from that, we're making good progress on product management. I've been honestly focused all day here on software engineers, project management, and product analysts. For one role, a lot of these candidates that we're finding, they're amazing, but they require transfer or sponsorship of visas. Our clients specifically for these do not have the capability to do that, which is a bummer, because oh man, we found so many candidates that could just been amazing. And that's the thing that we see a lot in tech. Typically early stage, small, mid-sized are not going to be able to process transfer or visas. So if you're looking to kind of break into tech here in the US and you require sponsorship or transfer, my biggest recommendation is to look at big tech or ones that are a lot more established. Typically, the bigger the company gets, the bigger that they have a people or law or legal team built out internally that can kind of process and help process these as well. Especially for companies that also require or have received tons and tons of funding, it does require money and time to process these visas as well. So keep that in mind. But if you're you need a new visa, you need a sponsorship for a brand new one or a transfer, but you want to work at early stage startups here in the US, I've seen a handful that done that, but most do not have the capabilities, even though that they want to. It just doesn't make any sense for them. It's too much money, too much time. They don't have one or both of them. I'm going to have to still go through my database, do a couple more targeted searches, and hope that I can kind of build a pipeline. I am talking to my engineer with my CLEANTECH. They really like him a lot, but again, his wife is a big blocker. I heard from him this morning that even though he's excited, his wife is not a fan of this opportunity, which could be the ultimate deal breaker. And so I'm going to try to talk to him today, see what we can do here. I've also encouraged my client to see if they can maybe talk to the wife and him together or something, anything else that they can do to sweeten the pot. Because if your partner, significant other is really against this idea, it's gonna have to be an offer that they just can't refuse. And I don't think it's there. I think they've made modifications across different criteria, but it's just not there yet. So in the beginning, it was like unlikely chance. And then I thought it became more like 50-50, 40-60. Now I think it's like 40-60, 30-70, maybe 20-80 that the candidate's gonna say no, which is gonna be a bummer because it's gonna be a big one. But I will speak to him in about 5-10 minutes, and it's not over until it's over. And you just gotta do your best to think creative solutions, think outside the box, and see what we can do. All right, we just spoke with my engineer who is in a negotiation stage with my CLEANTECH company, and we have good news and we have bad news. The good news is it's not done yet, meaning it's not over yet, meaning he has not rejected yet. We're still hanging in by a thread. The bad news is that, as we suspected, the wife is really unhappy about the whole idea of him getting a new job. There's basically 3 main concerns. Number 1, the salary. So he crunched the numbers, and basically the offer is kind of equivalent to what he's making right now. So we need to work on that. Easy. I think that's pretty easy. The second one is travel time. So it's understood that like the first couple months you'll have to travel back and forth, and then after that he's gonna have to travel maybe once a month or something like that. And he's okay with that, but his wife is unhappy with it. She wants him to be at home and spend time with her and also spend time with the kids. Understandable, because his job, he doesn't have to travel alone. I think if we can do something here is an agreement by the company that he can travel less, maybe once a quarter, which is what they're doing with a couple other people, and have that in writing. Next is benefits. That's gonna be the hardest one, but like we have a solution, and we do know that things will get better next year as the company continues to revise their benefits solution. So he's going to actually sync up with the team tomorrow, and it seems like the wife might be part of that conversation, even though he told me that she just doesn't want to hear anything about this company. She doesn't want to have anything else to think about. Like, they're also stressed. They're going to a wedding. She has to do a lot of preparations this week. And so the wife is completely kind of against everything. And she's like, I just can't be bothered. But he's going to do his best. And I told him, don't push her too much. And you should only really, if there's a reason to push, is because you know that every single term is final, and we're far from that right now. There's still so many things that we can do, so many things that we can work on. So I'm like, hey, just keep her excited, keep her engaged. I think the fact that she's willing to hear the company out, I think that's a really big of a plus. I think if she was completely closed off, then she wouldn't want to do that. But the fact that she wants to do that, I think that's a positive thing. And then I told him, please be honest with them, ask questions, really know what you want. You really know what you and your wife want, and try to just air them out with them. But at the same time, I will do my best to kind of back channel the client and try to work on these obstacles and concerns for you one at a time. And so we'll see. I know that if I remember correctly, based on my last conversation with my client, like they really like him a lot. They want to make it happen. And so I know that eventually a salary will be a component, and lo and behold, it is. If we can just kind of get rid of that, we can focus on benefits and timing, but it just has to be an offer they can't say no to, and it's not that right now, so still so much to do. So I'm gonna hopefully get a hold of my client and their team, see if I can talk to her directly, the HR, the lead recruiter there, and then hoping the conversation goes well. I have one more call today. It's getting really, really dark, and with a thunderstorm in our area. It's about 4 p.m., probably going to be here till 6 or 7. A couple more client calls, a couple more sourcing, and yeah, just kind of keep on moving forward. But a deal isn't dead yet, and I'm doing my best to keep it alive, keep the candidate engaged, and trying to think of solutions, because I think me and my company, my client, were fully aligned in terms of what they want. They want to hire him, and so they just got to come out and make something happen. Give him an offer he can't say no to, and so we'll see. Okay, it's almost about 6 p.m. here on Wednesday. I just got off the phone with the lead recruiter at my CLEANTECH company, and we just made sure that we're on the same page as they're getting ready to sync up with my candidate tomorrow. I explained the big concerns that my candidate has. It's the salary, the traveling, and the benefits, and it seems like they can't really budge on salary, which is not good. It seems like they're maxed out, but she will do whatever she can, because I asked and I pushed if she can ask the founder if they can just sweeten the pie just a little little bit, even 5, 10K would just go such a long way right now. But I think tomorrow could be the last hurrah, and depending how that goes, if the wife says no, the candidate has to walk away. And I think that would just be horrible, because the candidate told me that he'd feel like he'd be walking away from a huge opportunity. So man, such a tough situation to be in. It's also just a really hectic, stressful week for my candidate. I think they have a wedding to go to on Wednesday. There's dealing with matters about their kids or daughter or something. So the wife is just stressed out, and the last thing she wants to do right now apparently is to talk to the HR recruiting team. And so the fact that I think she's open and willing to get on that phone call, I think is huge of her. And so if the company client's aware of that, hopefully, they can just meet her eye to eye and just convey to her and really do the best that they can in addressing questions. It seems like that they can agree on lowering the time travel commitment. They can totally walk the wife through the benefits. But if there is nothing more that they can do for salary or comp, then I just hope that they're really good. But the good news is they told me that they had another engineer they just extended an offer to today, and they totally forgot that person came from me, because the recruiters and HR team just recently joined and a lot of things are falling through the cracks. And so this is completely news to me, and I didn't even know if they want to move forward because I never got feedback here. So I now have to kind of ping my candidate, see if I can kind of see how everything's going. It seems like that he's doing a good job in directly negotiating directly with the company, which is absolutely fantastic. But man, having again another surprise deal that come up is a great thing to have. But I hope that we can kind of get over the finish line here, because it seems like this one with the wife isn't gonna go anywhere. Or I shouldn't be doubting myself. It's not over until it's over. So I'm gonna do my best to stay positive. But man, nothing like an impromptu, spontaneous, unplanned deal that could also happen. And so the salary's at 150. The salary is way too low for the candidate, and he's asking for something closer. I think they can go up to almost close to 170, plus a sign-on bonus, which could be sweet. So we'll see. But yeah, just going to be spending the rest of the evening doing some emails and sourcing and more pitching. You know how it is. It just never stops. And that's the thing with recruiting. You just have to have clear goals for yourself every day and get through them. And if you want to work more, you can work more. You never have to honestly shut off. And so, but that's where work-life balance is key. And you gotta have a boundary, you gotta have a cutoff time to kind of maintain really good mental health and sanity as much as you can. But like I'm trying to show you, sometimes, especially with candidates at late stages, you're on call 24/7. And so this puppy, my phone, does not leave by my side ever. So no deals closed yet. Some deals close to losing them, but we haven't officially lost them yet. So keep on going. Happy Thursday morning. Didn't think I was gonna be able to share an update this soon, but this is for our marketing candidate for e-commerce client. Now, she was supposed to negotiate. I thought she was gonna email the client yesterday to negotiate, or even this morning, but she didn't, because I saw an email just about 20 minutes ago from her to the team at my client saying that she officially accepts the job. Let's go. But she then said in that same email, can we have a phone call to negotiate? Oh man. And this is after I told her, like, if you want to negotiate, you should do that before you reach a final decision. Now she's like, I want to accept the job. I'm excited, but I want to negotiate. That's a little weird. I don't think I've ever seen someone negotiate after they accept the job. I mean, typically the whole point of negotiations is to help you accept the job. But I'm still positive and happy because she officially accepts, but there's one small condition. But I think that she's actually chatting with the team right now, hoping that goes well. But it is good news. Always humbled and grateful to do another placement, especially in the summertime, especially in a recession. So just grateful and humble. I take nothing for granted and just want to do the best that I can. But man, this was an interesting process. And I just hope that the conversation that's happening right now, it's kind of like a hammer to the nail, the reconfirms her excitement to start. So let's freaking go. Also making really good progress on CTO candidates. Already have 2 in process, which is awesome. I'm working on sales managers. I really need help with product analysts. Like the 2 people that I found would have been perfect require sponsorship. And my client, because they're super early stage, they don't have the capabilities to do that. So now I just need to find more people who are hopefully better aligned, because I have 0 in the pipeline. I hate having pipelines with 0. Also, today is a little bit of a lighter day because I was supposed to go somewhere, do some errands, but because the weather is horrible and it required something to do with outdoors, that's not happening. So I have a whole day with no calls, which is awesome. It's time for party. Nope, not gonna party. Time for me to sit down, do emails, do more sourcing and repitching. It's a great opportunity for me to just focus on work without any distractions. So I like it. But maybe I'll take it a little bit easier later today because it's Thursday. But you know me, I like to finish the week off strong. And so everything's going well so far, feeling great. Got my tea here. And cheers to everyone who did a placement this month. And cheers to people who will do placement this month. Just keep at it, stay focused, and keep your eye on the prize. All right, happy Thursday. It's about 6 p.m. here. Just came back from running a few errands. My candidate ended up with his wife speaking with my CLEANTECH company. It seemed to have gone really, really well. They were able to answer questions. The wife has a better understanding of the benefits and future vision and growth of her husband's state. But I don't know like how well or impactful it was to them. I sent a quick email to my candidate asking how it was, and he's like, hey, we had a great conversation and me and my wife have a better understanding, period. I'm like, well, and then I responded saying, well, like, how do you guys feel now? Well, you still have more concerns. Like, how can I help? Like, I need to know how I can help to help you and your wife feel more excited about this. It's a great opportunity. So every time you're interfacing with candidates, you always kind of want to know, like, what is the call to action, or what is like the one problem, the one concern that's holding you back? Like, I need to know so I can help you. So still waiting back from him. I was able to sync up with another engineer for my CLEANTECH company that I found out that I possibly have an offer to deal with yesterday. So I synced up with him today. He had an offer, and then it came out to 150. I think they 150, 155. I think they came out to 165 with a 5K sign-on. That's a pretty big jump. So 170 cash. Now he is coming from a big established company, and all he knows are the comp and structures and career progressions of big and large companies. This is really the first time that he's considering pivoting his career and joining a venture-backed, fast growth company. If you've gone through it yourself, or you are a recruiter and you have advised people going through it, you know it's completely different. It takes a little bit of effort from us to just do a little one-on-one educating that the startups and established companies are completely different. That's with the comp, the back end, RSUs versus equity. That's also with the culture, the bureaucracy, how the speed, like everything is different. But when it comes to comp, like typically people working at big companies are paid pretty well. And then if they're looking to kind of leave that for a fast growth company, they're looking to kind of expect that same comp to continue. And that's honestly, that they just have to know that most of the time, like if it's an early stage company, not one that's like mid-size or large with more funding, or they're generating revenue so they can kind of be closer to what they're looking for, it's going to typically require them to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to the salary. And so I just had to kind of walk my candidate through that and make sure that we're crystal clear on his expectations, because like if he's coming in saying, I'm at a big company, I only want big company or higher, like that's kind of setting himself for failure, honestly, because he's at a big company, he's not even used to equity, so he's not even going to value equity that much. So it's really kind of a salary cash to cash, but he has to know that like when you come to a smaller startup, what else are you going to get that your big company's not offering you? That's what he needs to focus on. That's our job to help him focus on. The great news with our client is that it's kind of the best of both worlds. He'll still have equity, he can still have salary, but it's not going to be a significant drop relative to other companies at the similar stage or sizes. Like if we were to talk to other seed or pre-series A, he's probably looking at 120 to 150. The fact that they can come up to 170 is pretty uncommon pre-series A or seed level. Like that's pretty high. That just goes to show like how well my client is doing in terms of the amount of money that they funded, the product market fit, the customers, the revenue that they're generating, like everything. It really checked off all the boxes, and hopefully, my candidate's taking all that into consideration to help him get even more excited about this. I think when it comes to recruiting and managing interview processes, depending on the other companies your candidate is in, like sometimes it takes a little reframing and educating, and that's really like our job to help candidates digest and process everything to help them make the best decision. Like if they're at a big company and they're interviewing at a small company, then you have to be like, well, why would you also be excited about working in a small company aside from money? Maybe you said you want a more dynamic workflow, a close relationship with the founder, you want to touch the whole product, or you like chaos environments. So then these are things that you can reinforce with the candidate. If they're like, hey, like I like bureaucracy, I like very systematic established tools and systems and a lot of layers of management, and I'm used to that, and that's only the environment that's best for me, then maybe they're better off staying at established companies. So these are really, really important things to know so that you can guide your candidate effectively. But we'll see. It was a good conversation. We'll see what my client can do. Who knows? Fingers crossed. Happy Friday afternoon. Honestly, just been sitting here all morning, just focused on sourcing and doing some outreach. Feeling good that we're ending the week with some really great interviews with CTOs and engineers getting set up for the following week. So that's fantastic, creating momentum. I was hoping that something would have happened overnight or this morning, but I am following up with my client, I'm following up with my candidate. Haven't heard back from anyone. We'll see what happens. And I think this ongoing saga will have to probably continue to yet again another week. So if you are interested to see what happens with these open positions, please make sure to tune in. Definitely appreciate that. But gonna be sitting here for a few more hours, really just trying to get a head start for my following week, really just doing another hit on UX, product designers, always looking for great designers with a great end-to-end experience with B2B enterprise background. Gonna be hitting some more product analysts and marketing analysts as well. And then just, I guess, doing a hit or two of software engineers. But it's been a great week so far, and I really, really appreciate you tuning in. If there are anything else that you want to see about recruiting, if any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me, comment down below, check out our free Discord, which is literally free. It's a destination online for like-minded individuals like us who are recruiters, who like recruiting, who just love all things entrepreneurial or tech, hiring, interviewing, and just a great place to help each other out and collaborate. So feel free to reach out to me there as well. Feel free to like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot, but it will honestly give us the energy and focus we all need to just hit the ground running, crush next week, and just crush our goals. So if you want to send out some good vibes, it also just helps us kind of share the whole beauty and awesomeness of just being a recruiter with more people on the algorithm. So definitely appreciate that as well. If you like this video, want to see more like it, don't forget to reach out. Here to help in any way possible. Really, really grateful for all of you guys tuning in. Definitely means a lot. You know that a lot goes into making these videos, and I'm all about just trying to elevate recruiting together and just show everyone what we do in a transparent way. And it's hard work, but it can also be a lot of fun, fulfilling, and you can make a lot of great relationships along the way as well. Also, feel free to tag me on Instagram if you will. I try my best to also post there daily, and always great to hear and collaborate and partner in any way that's possible. And speaking of partnerships, if you are a recruiter working for yourself, you have a small team, you have a lot of jobs that you are struggling to hire, please reach out to me. If you also have candidates across really most of the hard to fill technical positions in tech industry, please reach out to me too. Like we work constantly behind the scenes, and just really also happy to announce that we sent out yet again another wire to one of our partners, did a split with him, sent him about $11,500 or so. And so that's significant money. And this is just me backing up everything that I'm saying. So if you have a lot of great clients, or you're just really good in business development, or you're really good in candidate sourcing, or you just know great people in your network that are looking for hiring, looking for new roles, we're happy to do finders, referrals free, and we're also happy to directly partner with you if you are a recruiter. It doesn't have to be in the States, you can be anywhere in the country. And I just love meeting other people in different markets, industries, or people just doing way better than me. It's just super cool. So yeah, so definitely just extremely grateful for you, and I hope everything's going well. Hope you're all enjoying summer, and that even though I challenge all of you guys to end the week off strong and try to do a little bit more, putting a little bit more effort this summer when everyone else is vacationing and hanging out and operating at maybe 50, 60, 70% capacity. If you can just push yourself to operate at 80, 90, you will get those breadcrumbs. And even though it may not feel like an extra added advantage immediately, I promise you, compounded over time, it can create a significant advantage. And then, you can really jumpstart or kickstart your desk and your business. And please share your successes with me. We'd love to cheer you on as you do with me. So thank you again, wishing you a happy Friday, wishing you a great week, and we'll see you on, as always, the next one.